I'm Gail Zalitsky. I have the pleasure of introducing all the speakers for the breakout sessions. They are really breakthrough because we're learning so much wonderful information that we can use in order to grow our small businesses, or our businesses, period. So I'm introducing Christopher Foltz. He is a leading communications strategist, and he speaks all over the country, maybe even all over the world, and has a lot to impart about PR and how to maximize your business through PR. He has his roots in national politics and had a battle with drug addiction. He was incarcerated for rehab, and he lost everything. But he reestablished himself as a global leader. He's got a great story to tell. And without further ado, Christopher Foltz.
Thanks a lot, Gail. Thank you very much, guys. You know, when I hear that, it talks about jail, talks about drug addiction, so I guess this will be interesting. Thanks for having me again. My name is Chris Foltz. I live in Chicago, matter of fact. My office is in downtown, and I own Christopher Foltz & Company. It's a communication strategy firm. We actually just found out we're one of the fastest growing in the nation. And when I tell you the story, you'll see why that's so significant, and we'll be able to tell you a lot about the things that we do to help brands like yours. But really, I'd like to take a few minutes to talk to a bunch of you guys about what some of the things you're doing are and what some of the strategies we would use to really take that to the next level. So I'll just get right into it. I started my career when I was about 14 years old in politics. Now, when you're 14 in politics, you really kind of end up with that story that Gail just shared with you, no matter which way you look at it. My uncle was a big lobbyist in politics, Republican Party politics, and he got me an internship with a congressman by the time I was 16. Republican Party politics is an interesting machine, and I'll just leave it at that. You move along quickly if you fall into line and you do what you're supposed to do and make an effective change. By the time I was 18, I got a job with Elizabeth Dole. Elizabeth Dole, if you guys remember, ran for president back in the 2000 elections. She dropped out in the primaries. And my job, you know, for those of you guys watched West Wing before, and there's Dule Hill, yes, of course, the African-American guy on the show, he's a body man. He's the one that travels with the president. That's what I did more or less with Elizabeth Dole and her husband, Bob Dole, which is very, very exciting times. By the time I was 19, Ari Fleischer, who was Elizabeth Dole's campaign manager, went over to the Bush administration to become the press secretary. So I went over there with him. I got my internship with President Bush when he was still governor, stayed through the race, and by the time I was 25, we had won 2 presidential races. We won the race down in Mississippi for Haley Barbour. We did California with Arnold Schwarzenegger. And here I am. I'm in my early 20s, I guess mid-20s at this time. I've seen all these amazing things. And I got that call. My mother had developed cancer. So I moved back to Rockford, Illinois. For those of you that are from Illinois, it's in the northwest part, kind of by Wisconsin. My parents are both in law enforcement. I moved back into my mom's basement. The proverbial move back home in the mid-20s move that some of us have done. It's exciting, I guess. And I had my wisdom teeth pulled out. And you get the Vicodin, from the wisdom teeth. Now here I have this fast-paced career in politics, selling my soul to the devil more or less at that time. And, you get that Vicodin, your mother's sick, whatever kind of excuse I drum up for yourself, I took, and I went with it. Became a full-blown opiate addict in 3 weeks. So the next 9 months, I spent going through drug addiction. And I don't know if anybody's ever gone through that, but it's definitely something you do not want to be involved with. It's not so much what it does to you, but it's what it does to the people around you. And here I am, I had all this great career, and ultimately my mother passed away, and the day after, a judge who was friends with our family said, listen, this guy's gonna die. So he put out a $250,000 warrant for me to go to jail. Now to put it in perspective, how much money that is in the bail system, I mean, that's like, murder, things of that nature, aggravated assault, but more or less I was aggravating my life and everyone around me, so I deserved it. So I spent the next 119 days in Winnebago County Jail going to rehab. Now, I don't even want to begin to tell you what goes on in jail and the things you learn, but most importantly, you learn about people. Now, I spent my life in Republican Party politics, and although we're a state that has 2 governors in federal prison right now, that doesn't happen as much on the Republican Party side, and then went right into jail, more or less. People that hated Republicans, people hated the fact that my parents were both in law enforcement, hated the fact that I was fat, whatever. They just hated something, and they would always find it. But what you learn is you learn how to communicate with people from a different spectrum. And ultimately, that's what led me to where we're at today. After that, during that period of time, everything that I had in my life was in my mother's home, and it was foreclosed upon. No mortgage being paid for the months I'm in jail. And it was just thrown away, literally thrown away. It was like my entire childhood was just thrown away. And so I get out. I'm court-ordered to live in an Oxford House recovery home. My dad picked me up from jail. The next morning, I had to report to this recovery home in the Chicago suburbs. And my dad gave me $500. I went to Walmart and bought a new life. Now, trust me, you can literally buy a new life at Walmart for $500, even a little bit less if you get it on a good Saturday sale. It left me with $180 to get my first week's worth of rent. I moved into this recovery home with a dream, a whole lot of angst, and just overwhelming weight on my shoulders of how I'm going to fix the same process I went through myself and other people from going through it. And that's a big task. Mind you, I'm about 26 years old at this time. And so I get out, and the only job I could get was being a waiter and volunteering. So I did both. Every time I get a job as a waiter, I would get fired for my job as a waiter because I said, I want to start a marketing firm. I want to start a PR firm. These are all the things I did in the past in my resume. And they say, Chris, you're just a waiter. And I would always fight that. But ultimately, guys, I was just a waiter. There's no question about it. All the presidents, I met 5 presidents at that time. None of that mattered. Nothing. I was a waiter. I was serving plates. You get making money, though, which is exciting. So after that process, I'm getting fired too much. I get involved in politics again. But in Chicago, there's this thing called Democratic politics, an entirely different sphere of the system. So I said, listen, I don't believe in Republican Party politics anymore, even though I was the poster boy for it. So I'm going to see what else is out there. So I got involved, volunteered, got involved with the AA, NA communities, all of that. And I met a girl that worked at the restaurant that I was a waiter at. And you see these events coming out of restaurants. How do they get these people there? Cool stuff on Facebook. And I said, listen, we can do this better. So we went and downloaded all the Photoshops and everything from the internet, made a little flyer. In a bar that fit about 150 people, we had 380 people lined outside. So we did something well. And what happened was a doctor in the community said, hey, Chris, can you do that for my plastic surgery office? And me, I'm crazy. Plastic surgery and bars are the same thing, doctor. We could obviously do that. I'm not much of a drinker, never have been, but I understand people at this point, both sides of it now. So we got involved with this doctor. He referred a dentist and a chiropractor. Now to this day, my company has worked with over 400, almost 500 medical professionals around the world. And we're talking inside of just a few short years. One thing led to another. We started Christopher Foltz and Company about 2 years ago in June. We turned 2 this month. Don't let my appearance fool you. I guess we're really only 2. What has transpired in the last couple of years is really what I'm here to talk about and how we can do the same model for your brands and help you guys grow. So here we are. We started Christopher Foltz and Company in a child's bedroom in Evanston, Illinois. We had a card table with 3 legs. The 4th one was a quasi-leg, but we had more partners in the company than we had employees. And we had that one doctor client that started everything out. And then we had the 2 other ones that we got at that point, and that was our brand. We made $2,000 a month. Now, mind you, our rents and mortgages and everything are more than that. And what are we going to do to take it to the next level? So we went from there. We expanded by building relationships with other brands. We used the internet, the whole 9 yards. In the last 2 years, we've grown from that one small bedroom to a beautiful 5,000 square foot office downtown. I've got about 25 full-time employees now. In our current client roster in America, if you added everything up from our celebrities all the way down to our charities, we have reach in the several millions of people that we get to work with in terms of reaching out. And I'm going to tell you why this happened. And this is where I want to find out about your brands while we're here today and figure out how we can take your brands to the next level. Whenever I talk to people about public relations and everything, there's always this big, I was in Vegas a couple weeks ago. I'm on a speaking tour with Bill Walsh and all of them. And a guy in the audience said, what is PR? Okay, now, who knows what PR is? Everyone knows what PR is, right? Okay, well, PR stands for public relations. We all know that, too. Well, somewhere along the way, PR went through the same transition that Kentucky Fried Chicken did, where they transitioned to KFC, forgot Kentucky Fried Chicken, and public relations transitioned to PR and forgot what the root of it is. And the true root of public relations is relating to the public, okay? And we forgot about that, especially here in America. You see these ad campaigns out there, and they really don't, they have great branding. But what we have to realize, guys, is that branding is our image, but our message is what public relations is. The message is the motivation of your brand. The message is the substance that puts you guys all in this room here today. So we look at public relations from a different filter as a brand. We look at the way that we relate to people from a different way. The first thing I talk to everybody about in PR is creating your audience. Okay, creating your audience is a very, very important concept, and usually it's the first step that we all take in our businesses. Most people think, hey, we got to do the logos and we have to do all of this. Well, that's very important because that's the first step of creating your audience. You need to make sure that you're properly branded. Okay, you really need to make sure that your branding relates to not only your brand, but relates it to the public. The second thing that's very important once you have branding is exposure. Okay, now you can have the most beautiful website on the planet, you can have the most beautiful business cards and all of that, but quite frankly, if nobody knows about it, it really doesn't matter. And then once you start getting some exposure, the real core factor of that first pillar of public relations is giving back. And I'm going to tell you why that's important. Most people think that giving back means draining their bank accounts, writing a check. I promise you this, guys, we can all write a check here. For those of us that still use checkbooks, I don't even think they have them anymore, but we're going through that process. But I promise this, if I wrote a $10,000 check to charity today and I died tomorrow, there would never be another check that came from me. So we wanted to figure out how we can tie these three things together to really help brands launch and get to the next level. And as opposed to just talking about it, we were going to use our brand as a case study and just do it. So we developed our brand. We developed about 200 business cards for clients before we even had our own. We didn't even have a logo, nothing of that nature, but what we had was substance. So I'm going to give you an example of a couple things when we launch brands and how those three pillars of creating your audience really play to effect. We represent, like I said, a lot of medical clients out there, and I have one particular doctor who has a surgical center in downtown Chicago. He's one of the most revered doctors in the Chicago market, and when you have an outpatient surgical center, we all know that the healthcare world right now is in complete disarray. Insurance doesn't do anything. Obamacare, whatever we call it right now, really doesn't do anything, or at least we don't see it. So he said to me, Chris, listen, I'm not even getting enough money from the insurance companies to completely facilitate these surgeries. And I promise you this, the patients aren't getting enough money to pay even the simple things that they need. Co-pays. If you can't pay a co-pay for a life-needed surgery, you're in trouble, plain and simple. So he said, Chris, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cancel every single contract I have with the insurance companies. Now, mind you, a surgical center's lifeblood is this insurance money. So I said, Dr. Reineck, his name is Dr. Zaverko Reineck, I said, Dr. Reineck, how do you plan on staying afloat? And he said, you know what, Chris, we're going to give away the surgeries. We're a surgical center. It doesn't say in our title that we're a surgical center that makes money. We're supposed to do surgery. So I'm going to do it. That's part of my Hippocratic oath. And I said, that sounds fine with me, but we have to make sure that people know about this at least so we can hopefully get some graces with the insurance companies we just canceled. So we sat in the room on a Monday, and we're sitting there kind of coming up with a name for this new giveaway surgery thing. So we came up with Project HUGS. HUGS stands for Helping Uninsured Get Surgery. So on a Monday, we developed the logo. We did the branding for Project HUGS. Tuesday, we did a little simple website so to be some place to go. Mind you, when I say day, we did it that day, just like all of you guys can. Wednesday, we did our first step of exposure. We kind of put a little press pitch together and said, hey, listen, this is what people are doing now. Anytime you go against your top line as a business and kind of counterproductive to the money you make is really when you have the opportunity to make an impact and people take notice. So our press pitch got picked up by a lot of national publications, and it just so happened that Bill Clinton was in town that week for the Clinton Global Initiative, much like he is this week. I was a host to Bill Clinton last night. He was here in town for the Clinton Global Initiative, and I have the honor of being involved with that stuff. So they got an invitation to the Clinton Global Initiative at that time, about a year ago. So here they are, brand new charity that they started on a Monday. They just started talking about it yesterday. No 501c3, no business card, except for the one that we made Friday morning at the Kinko's. Okay? So they go in there, and I promise you this, guys, we got a call next week from the Clinton people for a $10 million commitment from the Clinton Global Initiative. Okay? $10 million commitment. Just upped again this year, $15 million. So do you realize when you cut out all that red tape and crap that the insurance companies do, and you actually just put that money towards surgery, where $1 million commitment from an insurance company really equals $100,000 after bureaucratic red tape? This is $10 million that goes right into the arms of the surgeons and into the bodies of the people that need it. And we did that, guys, in 7 days. Okay? So there's your give back model that was recognized by the president, former president, but a fabulous president, and it's actually working. Now, to this day, we're just now getting a 501c3 for this organization. So when you guys tell me, well, I can't do something in my brand, I don't have a logo, a business card, a website, I'm going to say that's bullcrap. Okay? Because we proved it to you right there. And there's several of these instances where when you get your brands involved and you do things for the right reasons, it's going to take you to the next level. And for myself as a case study, all this stuff I told you about, going to jail, drugs and everything, so many brands focus all of their attention on victories. how much money they made last year, or how many, for our music clients, how many iTunes downloads, or how many widgets we sold, or how many books we sold. But I tell you guys, and I promise you this, life is much like PR. It's not about victories at all. It's 100% the reaction to your failures. 100%. I react to my failures. I put them out there just like I shared with you guys today. And as brands, we have a lot of tools in the internet to help us react to failures, help us stay in front of the game before other people do, help us actually get our message out there quickly and efficiently and paint that picture that we want our brands to be so we can get away from the whole push marketing, raise awareness enough where the phones ring. You're not having cold. When we started our business, I have Kevin in my office cold call every single day. Now here we are, we're going to be a big PR firm, and I got a guy cold calling. I'm going to meetings with Johnny's Donut Stand and you know, like a lollipop company was somewhere in there at one point. And you know, I didn't really understand what I was actually doing at this point. But now we're to the point where people call us. We have a waiting list to be a client of us that probably lasts about 8 months. To get me in a room, it takes forever. But you know what? Once we get in that room, we change brands. We change the way people think. Where most PR firms go in and try to make brands look better. They try to shine them up, put the flashy lights on the website. We like to get involved with the culture of their brand, help them make it better, and then talk about it with them. Because that's truly what it is. Okay? So I'm going to go through a couple other case studies that we've worked with lately, and to show you how you can do simple things that do not cost your brand any money at all just by thinking outside the box and doing it for the right reasons. Because if you start something for the wrong reasons, I promise you it'll end for the wrong reasons. Okay, so it's very important that you keep your brand's integrity towards the beginning. We have the honor, I would say, for those of people from Chicago. Who's from Chicago in the room? A lot of people. How many of you guys like paying for parking when you go downtown Chicago? Okay, right? No matter what room I'm in, whether if parking was 5 cents or $5 million a minute, you guys would all be pissed, and I agree with you. Okay, who wants to pay for parking? It's a space that nothing's in. Okay, let me borrow it for a couple minutes. Well, we represent Millennium Garages, which is all the big parking garages downtown Chicago. We also work with the parking meters. Now, so for those of you from the Chicago market, we know during the last mayoral cycle and prior, the parking meters was one of the biggest shenanigans in the press. Okay, well, people pay like $350 a month to have a parking spot in downtown Chicago. Now, how are you going to convince somebody? For $350, you know, you can get your kids more stuff for school, you can buy better meals, whatever it is that you want, but $350 to let your car sit still for 8 hours doesn't even make sense. So how are we going to convince people that this is cool to park in Chicago? Because I try to make things cool. It's almost impossible. So what we thought, and I said, if people are paying $350, but there's no way to give them more value in parking. You're not going to give them an extra inch like first class and airlines. Nobody cares about that crap. What are we going to do to offset this? So we went out and started building relationships for the parking garages. None of this cost us anything. We have restaurants say, hey, listen, if you come in with your monthly parking voucher, we'll give you 20% off. If you come in here, we're going to give you $50 off your cell phone bill. You're going to get a free membership at Bally's. So now we've got this racked up to around $700 of added value. So when you spend that $350, and this isn't baloney stuff, this is stuff you would spend your money on anyway. Because we did a study. We realized what people spend their money on downtown. So now it's to the point where if you don't pay for your parking, you're actually spending more money just in life than if you did. So they forget that they ever paid for the parking in the first place. That cost us nothing. Nobody wanted us to pay to have some deal. We didn't even put out a flyer. We put it up on a website, which was a WordPress that we built in an hour. And it's out there to the world. And now people are actually excited. Now we're going to work on the meters. That's a whole different animal. But the parking garages are covered. So that makes sense. I personally am involved in a lot of charity things, and I think most of you guys should as well. How many of your brands are involved with charity-related things? Anybody? Okay, a couple, few. And I'm going to tell you why this is. I don't care how much money you guys have in marketing. I don't care if you guys are the best internet marketers in the world. With the internet now, you have the ability of getting your information out there so much that it actually does things. If you have press out there, it raises your search engines. We all know there's all these tools, more websites linked to you, etc. Nobody has enough money as a brand to market to every consumer. If you do, you probably wouldn't be sitting in this room right now with me, okay? And you guys are bringing me to lunch then, if that's the case. So with that, even Apple, they don't spend enough money to market to everyone. But it's also hard to determine when you're brand new and you're trying to create your audience who your market is. You may think you know, but you have no idea. I think that's from MTV. You think you know, but you have no idea. That sounded cool at least. So the truth of the matter is charities and other businesses, just like we partner Millennium Garages up with these other brands, you can partner up with charities. And I tell you why. Charities have their own demographics. They have their own people. They're already there. right there sitting in front of you. If you partner up with them, you're actually borrowing their demographic at the same time, giving a small portion of your proceeds, sponsoring them in some sort of charitable avenue, barely cost you anything, but you're building an annuity model for that charity. So in essence, as opposed to spending $10,000 a month for a billboard, you spend $1,000 supporting a charity in that month. They propagate that through all their list-based, their newsletters and everything. You have a home run, but you're actually doing something to make the brands better, creating a culture. We do a lot of things of this nature in our brand. And there was 4 hands that came up when I said you guys do stuff with charity. And again, there's this stigma that charity costs so much money. I don't believe in writing checks to charity. I was on a radio show, a national show the other day, and they said, Chris, we read this article about you, and it says you're one of the most philanthropic people in PR in America, all this stuff. And they said, how much money do you give to charity every year? So I knew the answer right away, but I acted as if I had to look in my taxes. I gave $100 last year to charity. It's a key club that I sponsor. That's it, $100, because they needed to do a potluck or something of that nature. But I can tell you what I do. We go into corporations all the time, and we build their annuity models, and we talk about it on the internet. Corporations hire us all the time and say, Chris, we want to give back to charity. We don't want to look like egotistical people. We want to be humble. We want something that matches what our employees' culture is about. But we want to make sure that we talk about it in a way where not only does it make us look better, but it helps change the way our industry is, and hopefully other people adopt it. So we build those all day long, and they cost no money to do. Right now, we're in the process of working with a couple different charities and a couple different case studies I'll reference. Has anybody in Chicago ever heard of a Safe Haven? A Safe Haven? Safe Haven Foundation. I'm the president of the associate board of directors there. And what a Safe Haven is, mind you, I went through drug addiction and everything, but there's other reasons why people end up in the dumps, whether it be financial, whether it be a divorce, domestically battered women. Safe Haven opens their doors and allows people to move in, live there, bring their families in there, start their lives over. Gives you the opportunity to do job training, everything inside the facility. Gives you the opportunity to not only get the job training, but they have their own companies inside that will hire you. People like me, when you get out of jail and everything, nobody wants to hire you. Okay, it doesn't make any sense. But I promise you this, guys, I'm standing in front of you right now. So somewhere along the way, these methods work. So a Safe Haven, who actually, when they hire people in these jobs, it's the rudimentary jobs that people would have whenever they get out of jail. Pest control, landscaping, or whatever those jobs are, which are great, don't get me wrong, but I didn't want to be typecasted, and I didn't want to do that. I wanted to have my own brand. So what we're doing now is we partnered up Power Team International, Bill Walsh's group, who's actually speaking on Sunday night at 5:20, so you definitely do not want to miss him. And Rich Killian, a big real estate entrepreneur here, who's one of the 23 people in the world that has a real estate franchise. And we went over to a Safe Haven, and I said, Nellie, the president of a Safe Haven, we want to build an entrepreneur program inside of a Safe Haven. So to get people away from having to go work at Taco Bell or McDonald's, we want to bring white-collar jobs, I guess I don't know what they're called, into a Safe Haven and give people the tools necessary, fund it so that person can own their own McDonald's, not work there. So that person can go out there and be on their own book tour. So that person can stand in this room like I am today and talk on your behalf. So what this has done is it's actually caused Power Team International to get a lot of acclaim. Rich Killian, who's also coming to the table, getting a lot of acclaim because they're actually doing something that, in essence, brings competition into their own world. Okay? They're going to be training realtors with no requirement to come work for them. So if that person becomes the biggest, the 24th real estate franchise, it's against their top line, but they're doing it because they're doing it for the right reasons. It gives us something to talk about in the media, and it also gives a lot of people in the community a taste of what your brand can do without really spending money. So next, we're going after the Zigglers. We work with them, Michael Gerber, some of the biggest speakers in the world. We're going to get them all involved with this. Jimmy Z, who just got off tour with Tony Robbins. We're really going to make an impact and give back right here in Chicago. Now, the greatest thing that a lot of these people don't realize is a Safe Haven's expanding around the country. So for these brands that are coming in there, when they have their aspirations of growth, they already have a turnkey charity partnership, a turnkey demographic, because I promise you this, the endowment board for a Safe Haven, they're in every market that a Safe Haven is. So you think that that person's not going to want to do business with somebody that actually gives back to a charity that's changing the way people think about the world? Of course they are. So we're building brands on the back of charities at the same time as we're actually putting money back into their pockets. And again, it's not like we're writing checks. We're building annuity models. So I want to talk to a couple people in this room about what your brands are, and I want to see what some of your issues are, because I promise you, before we leave today, you guys will get some of these solved. I will gladly give you a free consultation in my office, and I want to know what you guys have going on, what your goals are. I'm starting over here because you raised your hand about a Safe Haven. So what do you guys do? Okay. Okay? So, you know, you have your whole funnel set up, the whole 9 yards about how your brand, did you have any of this stuff set up?
Yeah, when you talk about issues and just I think we have so much going on that it's sort of like overwhelming.
Good. Imagine the contrary, having nothing going on, right? So when you say you do coaching and other, or those type of training, in what industry? Personal growth, meaning you're like life coaches? Okay.
Psychology, existential philosophy, we teach people how to apply it in their relationships, their careers.
That's really cool. Now, what is your background? What gives you credibility to do this?
I'm trained in psychology. I have 2 masters. Thank you. I have a master's in counseling. I have a master's in transformational leadership and coaching.
And what about you?
Sales and marketing.
Okay, so you got both pieces of it. It's like the Republicans and the Democrats. When they both sit down, they can actually do something, right? So we got it right here. Now, do you guys have joint ventures as a brand? Do you have any strategic alliances and partners?
Can I answer?
Yeah.
So,
course.
some of our client, a lot of our clients who have been clients of us for years, really believe in what we do and our mission, and like they're our partners.
Okay?
But we don't have any partners with people that we don't like highly believe in what they're doing, like Nobel Peace Prize winners or.
For sure.
So.
Now, what she said there was very interesting. She said her clients, they consider them their partners. Now, the truth of the matter is that's actually what business is all about. You know, you're supposed to work collaboratively with the people you work with. And I think you guys are on the right track. Now, when I say partners, it's very easy for somebody like you to develop a joint venture of something that would be beneficial in your industry. Everybody knows who Vince Vaughn is, right? The actor. His mom, Shay, is a client of mine, a fantastic woman. Shay Vaughn actually is a health and wellness expert in this country. She is phenomenal. I'm not going to say her age. I'm sure Google will help you find it, but she looks about 30 or 40 years younger than I swear to God. Now, Shay is launching something called Healthy Initiative. Here in Chicago is where it starts, and it's going across the country. And the whole premise of this in medicine, which we have a lot of experience in, and no matter which way you look at it, your training, when there's psychology involved in it, it kind of falls into that medical sphere in some regards, even though it's outside the medical realm. Shay falls into that same category as you. She's more of a wellness coach, but not all this Eastern stuff, not just yoga, not just Pilates, but really looking at wellness. Now, the thing about wellness is it's your mind, it's your body, it's your soul, it's the whole 9 yards, and psychology plays a role in that. So I know for a fact that if I put you in the room with Shay Vaughn on the Healthy Initiative, and she loves what you have to say here, because I do, it makes sense to me, because you're looking at it from a little bit of a different angle than what traditional people do, because you're not staying inside of medicine. I guarantee we could easily fit your training and everything inside of the new wellness centers that we're in charge of that are all over the country. We have them in Ohio, Indiana, et cetera. Now here, I've never met you before. I spent less than 35 seconds just saying that, but I can make one phone call and make that happen. So your first JV is with somebody like me, and I'll put another one in your corner. And why this works is because here you guys are young, you guys are hip. It's very easy to get involved being young and hip, but you know what? You guys actually have the background for this. Sales and marketing, very important. My business partner, my main business partner, he's an operations guy. Worked for Schneider National Trucking. I could not be any more different than I am from him. Okay, he's from Canada too, whole different country. You know, I don't know if you guys know it, it's way north. But what I say to him is that operations, and I'm a creative agent, we have a creative agency. If we didn't have operations, if we didn't have sales and marketing like you guys, we would be nowhere. I would still be at his daughter's card table, but I'd be living in that room because I'd be homeless. So in essence, it's all about relationships, because I tell you this, I don't care what your marketing budget and your PR budget, none of that matters. Money's not even sexy anymore, guys. It doesn't even matter. Relationships is the new currency of the world. So if we give you some relationships and you know how to use them, you're going to get to the next level. And where I think you should go, the end of this month, you guys here in this market, Chicago? Okay. Ultimate Success Camp, $5,000 a seat. I'm going to give you guys 2 tickets for it, okay? It's going to be good. I'm going to give it for you. So get my information after this, because what that's going to do, it's going to put you in the room with people that ultimately want other people like you, and there's a whole bunch of them out there, and I'm not talking about traditional networking rooms where everybody's unemployed, okay? Let's be honest, we know what that is about, okay? I'm talking about real people that matter, because then what you also get to do is, I think on that Sunday night or that Saturday night, Bill Walsh is actually having a party at his house in Barrington. There'll be about 500 people there, but I'm talking true players in the industry, and just being around people like that are all on the same page with you, that's a home run. We should also get you in touch with Dr. Emily Pino in Las Vegas, because she is a nutritionist. No psychological component to it whatsoever. So if I made a JV out there, now you're a national brand, okay? And now you have the ability to grow. JV, joint venture. Joint venture. We call them BAPs in our company, Brand Alliance Partner. This is Kane Clam, and she's our Chief Brand Officer in our company. She's literally changed the way that we think about everything as a brand. She came up with BAP. I think it's cool, Brand Alliance Partner. But we're going to call yours JV. Trust me, it's way cooler. Okay? And we'll talk a little bit more after this. Somebody else. Who else has got? What do you got over here? Tell everyone your name because it's pretty.
My name is Akua.
Beautiful, huh? We'll get you a microphone here. Thanks, Gail.
Thank you. My name is Akua Ambonije.
Okay.
I'm from St. Louis.
St. Louis, huh? St. Louis Phoenix. I own part of the minor league basketball team here, and we beat you guys this year. So thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Akua. I owe you.
And I do parent empowerment and support.
Oh, wow. Parent empowerment, huh? Let me hear it. Tell me what that means to you.
It's called Tapping Our Parental Power, and the purpose of it is twofold. First, to help parents to remember that we parents are our children's primary influence and educator, and then to equip parents with information and tools that help them to strengthen their relationships with their children, reestablishing respect, order, cooperation, peace, stability in the household. And we do that by in our workshops, we go through exercises and we have discussions that pull from parents what they want to see happening in their homes and then compare it to what actually is happening.
Wow.
And doing that, parents see their own way to accomplishing their family goals.
So you're basically arming them with the tools versus saying, hey, this is my philosophy, do it this way, because you need to help them realize it themselves.
Exactly.
Now, for those of you in the Chicago market, who's heard of Jeff Leving, father's rights attorney, billboards everywhere, okay, Jeffrey Levin, infomercials, the whole 9 yards. Jeffrey Levin was a client of mine for a while, and he's the big father's rights attorney. Mm-hmm. Now, do this, he's an advisor to the governor on father's rights, and I was an advisor to him. Now, the problem I have with things like father's rights and mother's rights is that neither of those things matter. It's the children's rights. It's the children's lives that matter. That's why we become parents, is it not?
That's right.
So have you wrote a book or anything yet, or is it just workshops?
Tapping Our Parental Power in a Nutshell.
Oh, that's the book. That's right. You said at the beginning. Are you selling this online? Or are you selling it? Where's it actually at?
I do have it. My website is getting redeveloped, but I will have it as available as an ebook. But I also have hard copies as well.
Now, do you have your hard copies on Amazon or anything of that nature yet?
I don't.
You know how easy that is? Very easy. We'll make sure you get there. You got to do a free consultation with me because they just take a little bit of money and they actually hold your books for you, so you don't have to mail them out. It's a whole easy process. But imagine putting Amazon on your website.
Indeed.
You know, because what happens with Amazon for somebody like this? I'm assuming that you got all this because of your own parenting and the fact that. So somebody like this, a small, a single-person operation, I'm assuming.
Exactly.
Okay, putting the Amazon logo, getting up there, you have the availability of being named an Amazon category bestseller for a day. So then when people, you know how many people say, I'm a best-selling author? Okay, you really got to ask them where, you know, because I could say that you're a best-selling, well, Chris Foltz called me a best-selling author, and I guess technically you are. Amazon, because there's so many different categories, and they do it based on dailies, sometimes you can just sell a few copies of a certain thing, do a campaign to get that title. That makes you a best-selling author. Now, New York Times is based on volume per week and distribution, et cetera. But little things like that will help you take your brand to the next level, and guess how much that cost? Nothing.
Wow.
You fill out an application, but people don't know about that because you want that co-branding. Also, relationships-wise, we have a client, Janetta Smith, a fantastic lady, a single African-American mother on the South Side, and she just wrote a book, My Parents, or My Children, My Responsibility, is what it's called. In essence, it's a similar principle. Now, I tell you this, Janetta's very involved in the church community here in Chicago, and I'm talking the mega church community. She's trying to set up a workshop. You have a workshop, right? She's already got a book that's already out there, already on the things doing it. Well, you're trying to get there with yours. Mm-hmm. So you guys are like Power Rangers. You got opposite powers, but you put them together and you got that big Power Ranger that does cool stuff, right?
Indeed.
So imagine if we just made a little relationship with her up here in Chicago. You kind of have a similar story. And then we put you on one of the TV shows, Weekends with Whitney or something in the Chicago market because it's not St. Louis. Anybody can get news in their own market. Put it up here and have a whole thing about, hey, listen, this is how you're supposed to parent, not because you have to follow my rules of engagement, because I'm going to teach you the skills necessary to develop yourself as a parent and pass that on. Now you just made a JV, the joint venture, Brand Alliance Partner, but you made sense because you guys have the opposite needs, but you also have the opposite skill sets. Now there's two people, two different markets, St. Louis and Chicago work good together, so let's have a conversation about that later, but it's just that easy.
Thank you.
Who else has got something? You back there with the nice blue. Hi.
My name's Mahara.
Mahara. Everybody's got cool names. Anybody not have a cool name in here? Her name is Kane. Oh, you can get cool. Let me hear it.
Hi, my name's Mahara, and I'm from Canada, from Vancouver.
Fantastic.
And
forget what I said about Canada earlier. I love Canada. I really do. I got a couple clients up there.
And I wrote a book about retirement, along with a few other thousand people, thinking about early retirement and having that grand 30-year finale, grand finale, being a go-go rather than a go slow or no-go, trying to change the image of retirement for younger boomers, like for boomers, called the Laughing Boomer.
What's it called?
Laughing Boomer, the Laughing Boomer.
That's cool. Isn't that a cool name, guys? That's the brand. You got that done.
Yeah. And so wrote the book, and then I found my competition, of course, is people don't want to read retirement books. So what I did personally is I quit my job and traveled around the world for 3 years. I'm now broke, and we sold our house and we sold everything, we put it in storage, and we traveled for 3 years. So the big currency that I have is how to plan a round the world trip. And so I give little talks on that rather than how to retire, thinking of your values and your interests. So, it's sort of from there. So that's what I've been doing, but I haven't,
Okay, well, ironically enough, I got a call. One of my clients in Canada, Jan Reuter, she just wrote a book. She spent 30 years working for the Canadian federal government in your version of like the labor department.
Right.
That when people are unemployed, they go to her to help get their jobs back at the federal level. So that's 30 years of skill set that you can only get doing a job like that. So she wrote a book, and the book is all about making yourself as a business person entering back into the workforce, like you're entering back into the retirement world, or entering into the retirement world, entering back into the workforce, how to best market yourself, how to be your own PR agent, how to be your own HR department to get you to the next level. But you know what? Some of these people that are trying to enter back into the workforce are technically close to retirement. But with the economy the way that it is, what I see here, she's in Canada, you're in Canada, but this is a huge issue, not that it's not in Canada, here in the US right now. Okay? We don't even know. I don't even know if I'm going to have retirement when I get older. At least I'm not going to bank on the federal government. Okay? So that being the case, it sounds to me like you've got a multi-step installment with somebody like her, because her book happens right before yours. Yours is the next one. But everybody goes to get that job because they want to do what you're trying to tell them what to do.
Well, yeah, but the thing is after traveling for 3 or 4 years, I went back to work, just did a temporary job for 3 months, and I couldn't believe how much I loved it. And so that's another message. It's like we're all tired. I mean, we are. And if you have a big vacation, and not that I didn't like my job before, I thought I loved it, and I did, but somehow now I'm totally enthusiastic about working, which is like a really interesting revelation to me.
So what you're saying is that you could retire, you could travel the world, and you could still have a passion for working, and if you found a way to monetize that, you'd be in good shape, is what it sounds like?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you teach people the skill set you have, that's your monetization model. Where so many people mess up in business, and I'm just going to take a moment to kind of go through this. It's always about exchanging hours for dollars, and that's why people can't retire, because they're so busy exchanging hours for dollars. And so many people focus on how to do things, when really all that matters is why we do them. Okay? So if we all understand why we do something, the how does not matter. So for me, I generally lived in a world of clients. Chasing them, collecting from them, doing work for them. Mind you, I said the first two things before the doing the work for them things, because that's the biggest nightmares in the game. Hardest way ever to do business is right here. The most time-consuming way to do business is at the client level as well. So I had to establish my funnel, and we'll call it a funnel. And by doing that, what it did, sorry if I'm blocking it, but I'll step away in a moment. What it did is it allows me to stop exchanging hours for dollars and focusing more on my brand. So how many people in this room are consultants of sorts? Gail, I know you're a coach, right? Do you have a funnel in place?
A funnel?
You don't. Okay, perfect.
No, I do.
Oh, you do? Damn. Okay. You don't? You're a consultant as well. So let's say that one of your jobs is to go in there and sit down with the moms and the dads and teach them how to do best. No matter which way you look at it, you only got 40 work hours in a week, unless you're like me, but you still only got 200 then, okay? So there's a limit to how much you can spend. But that's your version of a client, okay? You're sitting down there making them the better parent, right? Now, the problem with that is that no matter which way you look at it, you can only work with 1 or 2 people at a time. So you have your workshops, right? Your workshops are great. So we're going to call right here an absolutely misspelled version of workshops. It's like a weird works, okay? Workshops, boot camps, whatever you want to call them. Technically, right now, this is a workshop. Right. right? Now, if I charged all you guys $1,000 to come in the room and sit me talk all day long, A, you'd be mad because you have to listen to me all day long. But B, you're all in the room, so that means if there was 30 people here, you all paid $1,000, that's a $30,000 day. Now, how hard would that be to do down here? Okay, I don't want to charge somebody $30,000 to listen to me talk all day. So you made your job a little bit more efficient. Now, you have your book, too, right? So that's, right now you said you have an e-book version of it, more or less. That's your digital product, okay? Now, for me, I've got a bunch of digital products. You know, you can spend $500, get these audio CD collections, hear me talk just like Zig Ziglar, you know. Again, just listen to me talk. There's a workbook in there. You get deals and discounts on my speaking workshops, etc. But no matter which way you look at it, you don't really have to do anything here. Once it's done, right? Okay? Now, as long as you have a website in place, so when you're sleeping, somebody could come and buy that digital product. Nobody's going to care, right? Everyone wins, okay? Now, the top of your funnel, it's kind of like where I'm at here. You have your JVs, which we talked about earlier, BAPS for UCANE. Put those up here. I'm on the radio and TV quite regularly, so TV and radio, speaking engagements, the whole 9 yards. These are all places to get people interested in your brand and what you have going on. Now, if you had a digital product and you were up here, I'm not here to talk about products and stuff I have. I'm here to help you guys with your brands. Then the first thing people in this room, if you're up here and you give an awe-inspiring presentation, they're going to be like, damn, how do I hear more of this? Do you have any kind of product? Can I download something? Can I go into my website? Of course, you want to give them something free for coming there. But if you get them into this digital product, technically they're already in your client roster. You can claim it. You can publicly relate it on the internet. Have those Facebook friend-offs where you like them, they like you, the whole 9 yards. Okay? Once you get in your digital product, of course, if you give them a deal once they're here to get them to your workshop, that's when you have the opportunity to 50% do digital, 50% work with them, kind of like I'm doing for you guys. And ultimately, if they warrant it, they really need it, they're down here. But notice what I said, if they really need it. The average retainer for somebody like me a month is $10,000. That's ridiculous. Okay, and I'm the one telling you that. I want to eliminate all retainers in my industry in the world. I'm not here to make my brand number one. I'm here to change my industry. Okay, so if I have the opportunity to sit in a room with people like you or do a free consultation and change your brand and change the way you think about people like me, and I change the way, or you change the way that I think about people like you, everybody wins. So you have a smarter revenue stream here, but then your JVs. I mentioned to you Janetta Smith. I mentioned to you Jan Reuter. Once you do this stuff right now, you have people working there. I love what you have with this retirement book, and I love the idea of the fact that you can be a working retared person. Not having a job, but doing something you love and still making money off of it. So if you combination that, and you go to the AARP, okay, because that's at least here, I don't know if it's in Canada as well, and I go and I say, hey, Jan, I want you to partner up with this lovely lady from Canada who's got a book that's like a second volume of something you're doing. Let's go to the AARP, get them to give our ebook version out at a discounted rate to all AARP members in the world, okay? And I tell you right now, not only will your popularity rise, but it's going to change the way things are done. And Jan's going to be happy too, so I promise you this, now you have an opportunity to share the stage together for stuff like that. She's in Canada, you need to enter the American market, and you do it on the heels of a nonprofit because the AARP is technically a foundation or something of the nature, they have it hidden up in there. And then ultimately you have your relationships, you have your digital ebook, then you guys start doing workshops, because if you did a workshop like that, that's working and being retired, because you know how you like to travel the world? Well, just do your damn workshops all over the place. Everybody wins. And if you choose so, take a client. You don't have to. It's all done right here. Who else has got something for me? What's up, buddy? There we go. I could hear you, but I want to hear more.
I figured so. Bill Crosby, and I...
Any relation to... No.
No.
Bing Crosby,
Unfortunately,
I've
been competing with him for years in SEO. So.
Okay. Well, we can fix that, too. Yeah. Just do good things, and let's talk about it.
There's a distinct difference, obviously. So, I create automated social media software that helps people completely automate their social media campaigns online.
Fabulous.
So.
Okay. Well, I look at it like this. When you say automate, in social media, there's all sorts of nightmares, okay? People hire me and they spend $1,500, $2,000 a month. We'll do your social media. The problem is they hire me to do campaigns, okay? Mm-hmm. So I'm only interested in whatever that special event is or whatever we're marketing. The problem is the content in between the campaigns. That's where I lose my social media content, okay, or my social media contracts. Because I don't want to go up there and say, hey, listen, we have a sale today. We have this going on later, this going on there. So explain to me what your software does.
Two big things at this point. The first is a WordPress plugin that basically
home run
automates the publishing, the republishing of all of your blog posts and pages into your social streams completely automatically.
Is it using like an RSS feed with an app on the other side?
No, you pre-write all the content. It cycles through all the content that you've pre-written and sends it out at times when you've told it to send it out.
What's the name of your software?
Acting like a real human being.
Is it out there right now? What's the name of your
Social Traffic Suite.
I love this. Write that one down, Kane. That's cool. Okay, so what you're doing is basically somebody like me, if somebody hired an agency and I'm
Right.
doing their day-to-day job and I come up with all their content,
Right.
and then we just pre-assign when it's going to go, this, that, and the other, and it goes through the sphere like that?
Automatically.
Okay, now that's a home run. Anybody use WordPress for their brands, for their websites? We've done about 300-400 WordPress. Our company's website, which I implore you all to go to, I'll give you some information, is a WordPress. What you have done there is you've solved the gap between the people like me that control the budgets of businesses and individuals and the actual individual itself. Because I'm not going to get upset because I can still draft the content and everything that I'm paid to do, but put it in your system so I don't have to deal with the day-to-day stuff of having an intern messing up, putting it up, right? Is that what you're saying?
And they do mess it up, yes.
Okay. What's
And
the
I
other
love
facet?
partnering with people like you.
Well, good.
too.
I love partnering with people like you, man. I actually own a social media company. We kind of do, but we have, one of our facets is we do the pretty stuff. You know, like we make it all look good, all drag and drop. But then again, there's no content there. That's just a great destination. And you guys heard earlier, it's not about shiny disco balls and stuff. It's about substance. You're giving a possibility to deliver substance. And why this is important, somebody like you, where you have a book, somebody like you that has a book, there's so many statistics out there about parenting, so many things about retirement. You plug and chug those things into a system like his through your website and everything, and it's going to disseminate it for you so you always stay relevant. Relevancy is hard to accomplish in some businesses. You make it easy. You said there was another facet to your brand.
We created a piece of software for Twitter that
Okay.
completely automates most of the stuff you do on Twitter as well. It's all keyword based and it's all localized as well, so we get a lot of local clients that use it. So for instance, if you're monitoring who's talking about good burgers within 5 miles of your restaurant, it'll automatically connect with them, tweet them, and it has some artificial intelligence capabilities to it. So you can say to them, hey, saw that you were interested in good burgers, love to give you a discount to my restaurant. If you're interested, just message me back. And if they do, it'll automatically send them a coupon, that kind of stuff.
All right, well, let me tell you, that's great. That's great. Let me tell you this. I'll give you one more case study that kind of ties in where your software would be needed. We represent State Street Barbers, big barbershops here in Chicago, top 10 in America on Playboy. Somebody goes in there, they have a policy. Female haircut, $65, male haircut, $27.50. Now, we, from the outside, can see the logical reason for this, longer hair, things of that nature, whatever. But the girl that went in there had a bob haircut. I mean, I had a longer haircut than her. So, $64. Now, I don't understand why, but she went home, wrote a Yelp review. This is horrible, sexist, the whole 9 yards. I agree. And I'm the one who has to fix this situation. So the owner called me up, just like any other owner, and the reason why I tell you this stuff is this shows how his brand grew using stuff like this. He called me up and he said, hey, Chris, let's go ahead and do the Yelp review cover-up. You know, like it's Watergate or something like that. You know, put a bunch of positive reviews up there, say we rock at this so we can cover up that. And we were doing it, getting them shot down by Yelp all day long. And I said, you know what? I think we need to change the policy, okay? And ultimately, it's unfair the way that it's written, and ultimately your intentions was to have it be based on the length of their hair, so let's switch it to based on the length of their hair. If it's beyond shoulder length, it's X amount of dollars per inches. So I don't care if a guy comes here with a haircut like Moses or Jesus, he's going to be paying more than somebody, the guy or girl that goes in there with a short haircut, and that's only fair. Now, coupling up with a tool like you have, when people are out there and they're saying things like, man, I need a haircut. Twitter's amazing. You know, people say whatever on there. Somebody tweeted me earlier, to go in the bathroom. I don't know why that was important, but he thought it was great. To be able to pick up that stuff and reply back to it actually gives your brand an image when you're sleeping. Okay, it gives you, but with your artificial intelligence and your geolocation, it allows things to be relevant. You know, on my Twitter feed, whenever I do something with PR Daily, which is a big journal in my industry, it automatically puts it up on my Twitter. So I grew from somewhere around a few hundred, because I don't tweet very often. Now I've got something like 12,000, 13,000 Twitter followers. But what I don't do is when people tweet me, is I never reply back. I never really do anything like that because I'm too busy or whatever, okay? And I don't feel that somebody else should be doing it because it's mine, okay? But what you do is you allow me to be me without me being there, as well as incentivizing everything. So your first JV is me. So we're going to have a conversation later. And then, once we make that happen, everybody in this room is going to understand why your product is so important to their brands. It allows you to be you when you're not there. Love it, buddy. I got time for one half of one more question. One more. Is that okay with you, Gail? Gail runs the show, so I'm not going to get mad at Gail. Somebody else had their hand up over here. If not, I'm going to force it. Oh, you go ahead, buddy. And I'll talk to you after, if that's okay. What's up?
You know, we want to talk about this private university. A private university that has an extension program that we have started offering. And maybe Stan, you can tell a little bit more about that.
Yeah, we're the ones that are giving the certificate for the Internet Profits.
California, Miramar?
Miramar, yeah.
I'm going to change your life already. I've been talking about you guys for a week, and you don't even know
really?
it.
Okay,
Yes.
great. Yeah,
Continue.
But really what we've been looking for, because we're located right across the street from a Marine base. It used to be where Top Gun was, but then they gave it to the Marines. But we were looking for programs that were short-term, not degree programs that you could learn a skill set and possibly travel with. One of them is a transcription certification institute, and they can make $25 to $50 an hour, and if they can work anywhere in the world. So those are the things that we're trying to do within our extension.
Okay. Now, let me tell you why this is great. The military, first of all, is a big deal. Okay.
It's a big deal.
There's something called Illinois Patriot Fund here in Illinois. The Montgomery GI Bill, anybody that's been in the military doesn't pay for crap anymore. Okay, let's be honest. Okay, you get some Doritos in a class at a high school and you get out, that's it. So what you're doing is you're giving the people the chance of empowerment again. Okay? If you guys don't know, I guess you do, when you go here, I think you get a certificate in social media or internet marketing or something.
Yeah, internet marketing strategist, but you have to do a test on it.
So
Basing it on the book and some of the presentations.
why this is great is the Illinois Patriot Fund, they pay for the military people when GI Bill doesn't cover it. So your wife, your children when they go to private school, et cetera, it's all privately funded. But imagine, sometimes these military vets, their wives are stay at home. Now, I don't care what it is, stay-at-home wife, stay-at-home husband, stay-at-home whatever the situation is, you start feeling less worth. You start feeling like you don't necessarily belong. So many people, we call them seminar junkies, go to every seminar in the world. Now, the difference between a seminar junkie and somebody that does something is because they actually do something with what they do at the seminars. So if you went out there in your own institution like this, we made a strategic partnership with one of those charities in the military because it's the right thing to do. Where I want you to really build this in is when I mentioned a Safe Haven, the charity that they knew about. If you build this in their national organization, mind you, we have a bill in front of Congress right now that helps fund us with the Veterans Association because they call it all housing for vets. So we're going to take that on. Okay? And that being the case, if you have a tool like that to give these people that first step, when I got out of drug addiction, although I went to college the whole 9 yards, I just needed something to make me feel like I was worthy of continuing in life. Sometimes that comes in a shiny certificate from a place like you. And if you guys are the ones that make it easy for them to do, kind of fit within the constraints of their own lives, because we all have hectic lives, I don't care how successful you are, then you have the opportunity to change the world, man.
And this is also a real skill that they learn that is really marketable out there immediately.
It is a very, very, very important skill. And what you guys are doing is you're giving people the power of hope. But at the same time, you're giving people the power of hope that fuels, as a catalyst, their ambition again. Okay? So when it comes down to your thing, I don't know what your accreditation statuses are yet or anything of that nature. I know Power Team International, we do the largest, or Power Team does the largest programs like this in the entire world. They want to have a program with you guys. I've got about 15 other clients because I've been talking about you all week long, guys. And this is where these people created something out of thin air, probably with their own education backgrounds and things of that nature, that actually makes everybody else in this room job easier. Because now you're not just paying to come and sit in a room with people like me. You're getting something that's going to last you the rest of your life. If you guys want to chat a little bit with me afterwards, everybody take this down. My website, ChristopherFoltz, Foltz.com. But if you'd like to do a free consultation with me personally, just go to ChristopherFoltz.info, I-N-F-O, fill out the consultation form. Whether you're in China, here, doesn't matter. We'll do it via Skype, phone, in person, whichever's easiest for you. My office is downtown in River North. For those of you guys that set up a free consultation sometime this week, I'm going to give you something free. I gave them a couple tickets, and I'll get you information on that. I'll probably give out a few more things. I've got some workshops. The key to this is to keep learning from places like this and use it to change the way people think about your brand, and I promise that changes the world. Thank you, guys.